Buckeye fans not doing too well about a noon kickoff. Imagine if you were Texas fans. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff for you, but it's going to be some early tailgating, some brunch, whatever you want to do before noon, and it's an early day for you guys. So I don't know how you guys are for the noon starts, but Steve, I guess we'll start with you because there's a lot of angst over this.
Well, first of all, I know I can always count on Kevin Noon, Tom Moore, and Tony Gerdeman to beat the traffic and be parked and inside the stadium by probably 8:30 for a noon game. And maybe I'm being a little bit late. I don't know, but they get there plenty early, and they get there so early. I can ask them what are the traffic problems getting in there. So, that way when I glide in about 10:15, and get parked and get inside by 10:30 and get my runny eggs and my potatoes and all that, then, and get ready. But, Texas is used to the 11 a.m. local time starts. They have that almost every year. It seems like for the Oklahoma game, the network's always, it has been a 3:30 game as well in the past, but I think that a lot of times that game's at noon Eastern time. It's unfortunate. And I just think that Ross Bjork and Ryan Day need to lobby Fox as much as they can to at least get 3:30, if not 7:30, because for certain that when the game goes back to Texas next year, it's going to be a night game in Texas because ABC is going to have it. ESPN and ABC are going to have it as a night game, obviously down in Texas. So, a much tougher environment to play on the road at night than it is during the day. So, I look at it that I think that Ohio State needs to do everything they can to talk to the Big Ten and Fox about trying to work something out so that it will be a little bit later in the day if it's at all possible. The flip of that is obviously Fox has branded noon as the time to play its primary games each Saturday. So, and they've done really well in the ratings because there are no West Coast games to compete with it. And there are ESPN and ABC really don't program much in the noon spot. So unless they have like a Texas Oklahoma game or something like that. So to me, I look at it that it's going to be unfortunate if it's at noon, but understandable if it is. Last thing is they produced a graphic that said that since they've done Big Noon, that they've had over 200 million viewers for Ohio State games, more than any other college in that time slot. And that explains why Ohio State is such a big draw for them.
I think I said this last night. We did a live show last night. If Fox wants the biggest bang for its buck and they want the most audience members for their two windows in week one, you put Ohio State and Texas at 3:30 and you put Penn State and Nevada at 12 because there's nothing good at 12 anyway. And then your 3:30 game would beat the Alabama-Florida State game. And I know everybody is saying it's noon. It has not been said. It has not been declared noon yet. So you can hold out some hope. You can have some hope that it won't be. Ohio State there are people at Ohio State who are trying to get this to be a 3:30 or seeing what they can do. But I think it would make a ton of sense for Fox to put this at 3:30 because it's going to win wherever you put it. And they do have a 3:30 window. The 3:30 window, they had a doubleheader to start the season last year at 12 and 3:30. They've got 30 windows all throughout the season at times. So it's no big thing to make this a 3:30 kick and make the Nevada Penn State the Big Noon because Marshall and Ohio State was a Big Noon kickoff last year. So like you've got the branding of Penn State. You can tout how great they're going to be in the national title hopes that they have, and then do the same thing then you've got the big buildup for Ohio State and Texas.
What I'll throw in just as an addition to this, they talk that maybe Fox has primetime baseball, and we fight this every year with Penn State, being at the end of October, that they've got playoff or World Series and they would never play that game at night. Well, this is the end of August, last Saturday in August, and it's regular season baseball. And that could easily be kicked over to Fox Sports 1 for regular season baseball to go for a college football game that's going to get 10 million viewers. So to me, I think that, they have the wherewithal to do this. I think maybe they would have to make some kind of a concession with NBC, which would broadcast in that nighttime spot that, maybe switch a time spot with them, or maybe make that a Peacock game for NBC the first week, or, something that maybe trade a pick with them later on in the year. Like instead of going second one week, Fox would go third and NBC would go second, or something like that, just because to me, I think there would be tremendous value for Fox if they're able to play the game in prime time.
Yeah, so I know that everybody has different lifestyles, different preferences. A lot of people do errands during the day and they come home to watch college football at night. Other people want to get the game out of the way and then they do other things later at night. There's all sorts of preferences. So I'm not trying to tell anybody how to think, how to live. Everybody's got their own deal going on. As far as I'm concerned, I watch college football all day. I don't care when the game is. It makes absolutely no difference to me. For me personally, and if I was going to put this on everybody else, it's a debate that I could care less about. I find interest in the debate itself and being amused by other people's take on it and their angst and their concern. And then we've got this Ohio legislator, this Republican Tex Fisher. Ironically, the guy's name is Tex Fisher. I had to do like a triple take on that, out of Boardman. He introduced a bill last week that would require Ohio State football games. Well, the legislation obviously is generic. So it says any Ohio school that plays a top 10 team cannot play them before 3:30 Eastern time. And of course, obviously, Ohio State's the only school that does that. So it's directed at Ohio State with a $10 million fine if played before. Does this guy not understand? First of all, let's deal with real life, buddy. You shouldn't be concerned with college football. Let's deal with real life issues. That's what you're paid to do. That's my thought first and foremost. But if he's going to get entangled in this, he obviously should understand television contracts. The main partner for the Big Ten is Fox, and Fox determined that noon's going to be its biggest game. Everybody knew this. Everybody's known this for 8 years. I think the Fox contract started in 2017. That's just the way it is. That's who you signed up with.
Well, and politicians getting involved, they're just trying to sway the people like, look at me, look what I'm doing. It's all dumb and it's stupid and it's a waste of time. And that's somebody looking for some points that don't add up to anything and aren't real about making anybody's life better or helping people. It's just some of the worst stuff about politics. But again, if Ohio State doesn't want the money, stop taking the money. If you don't want the Fox money, stop taking it. You know what this is going to entail. You know that you have to play noon games. Now, I do think it's fair that you shouldn't have to play so many. I think there should be some parameters that you put in, and you can't be carrying the water every single week or 4 or 5 times in a season, because that's not fair to you.
Sure.
But I do think the idea of basically a lot of people don't like noon games because it doesn't give them enough time to drink. And I don't think that's a great argument for getting something done, this academic institution that has football that brings in millions or whatever. Like, yeah, we'd like more time to drink. You need a better argument than that. And that's where you've got the recruiting thing is it's hard to get from California or Florida to an Ohio State noon game, basically, because you're going to, especially during the season where you play on a Friday night and then you take a red eye to Columbus and try to get to a noon game. That's a pain for families and players. So that's a legitimate thing. But more than anything, the complaint that I get is, it's too early to get up and tailgate, and that's a you problem. That's not a football problem. If you really want it, you can do it.
And again, that's fine. I don't mind people's complaints. They can complain about whatever they want and complain based, again, on their particular lifestyle and what they prefer. I'm just saying, for me, I don't care. I think that this is an asinine argument that our buddy Steve is making here when he says, "Stop it, Mark. Ohio State is a primetime program."
That's not me.
You flip on your typical ABC game at prime time, that if they're not showing the SEC, they're showing Clemson and Boston College at 7:30 on the prime time game. The prime time game for Fox has been designated to be the noon game since 2017. This has been going on for 8 years. It's not that Ohio State and Texas is not considered the best game of the week. That's hands down the best game of the week, the most important game, going to be the most watched. And Steve, if you want to go from week to week through college football TV ratings, compare the Fox noon window to the ABC primetime window. Do that. It's not even close. So this primetime business, yes, primetime television is at night, but primetime in college football is whenever the best teams are playing.
Yep, that's probably the case. I think we wouldn't even have this discussion had it not been for that Tennessee game. I think that's the one that threw the fly in the ointment here, that it was such a great environment. And just other than how cold it was just a memorable, remarkable day at Ohio State, an evening, really. And, first time they've ever hosted a playoff game, and so many other great subplots to that game. But, man, the atmosphere for that game was off the hook, and the fans really did a great job that night. And if they could carry that over for most of the home games, it would be a lot of fun going to these games at the Horseshoe again, and not kind of the whatever I would say, it's lost. I don't know. It's lost some of the excitement maybe with all the day games and everything. I don't know, but and all the winning too. It's kind of like, if you don't win by 5 touchdowns, why did we even come here today? So it's there's a little bit of boorishness with the Ohio State fan base. Let me tell you, but some unreal expectations at times. But still, at its heart, there is tremendous support for this team. And, I think that, they've suffered enough with, Fox seems to have the first choice, so many of these weeks. And it was obvious they're going to take Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Ohio State. And then the third choice, I don't know what else is out there, Penn State, Oregon, or Penn State, Ohio State, for Fox to maybe look for their third number one pick. And then from there, it should alternate CBS, NBC, Fox, the rest of the way, I would think. So I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. And, not much we can do about it. But, at least say our piece when it comes up.
Maybe Michigan, Oklahoma is a possibility as that third one, but probably not.
Nah, Oklahoma's a nothing.
I will say a lot of the atmosphere in that Ohio State Tennessee game was thanks to the 30,000 Tennessee fans that angered Ohio State fans and forced them to bring it. I still think that would have been an incredible crowd with just 5,000 or 6,000 Tennessee fans. But one of the other issues that I have with the noon games, and I'm just thinking back in the press box with these games, I've said it many times in the game, like sitting there with whomever, like, how can this be an enjoyable television product? Because there's constant breaks there. And how can it be an enjoyable product in the stadium when those same breaks are then filled with, let's talk to this sponsor. Let's now we're going to honor these people. And we're going to do this. And, it's back in my day, we had the band to help keep things lively. And now the band is, continued to be lessened and lessened every year. But I do think shortening the games is going to help but you still have so many breaks now that now you've got more breaks in a shorter window. Like when it was a 4-hour game, and these are rare, but like 3:45, 4 hours, there's just a lot of sitting around and doing nothing. And then now the games are under 3.5 hours, which is good, but you still have so many breaks and so much, whether it's replay or just commercials or whatever. There's a lot of just sitting for the fans, just sitting and doing nothing and waiting for something to happen. But I will also say, fans complain about the atmosphere, but it's the fans that control the atmosphere. And I know it's not as easy to be loud and raucous, I guess, at 12 compared to a 7:30. But it's one of those things where, physician, heal thyself. If you want a loud atmosphere, you can help make that happen.
You brought up the legislator who started this bill. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but, we live in a state, our local school district failed a bond issue or whatever it is to get a new elementary school by a margin of 40 to 60 against. I mean, we have school buildings with asbestos that we can't afford to replace. We've got all this new money from sports gambling, all these other things going on. We have homeless people on street corners in every major city in this state. We can't solve the problems that we have, and this jackass is wasting his time talking about college football. It just, I don't get it. I do not get it.
I am with you. And again, I just want to be clear because I know I'm going to be misquoted on this, that for anybody out there that has a preference of when they want their college football and their Ohio State football in particular, I have no issue with that. Complain all you want. Everybody has their own lifestyle preferences. And if you want to complain, you can complain. And I'm not going to criticize your complaints. It's this objective, quote unquote, objective argument that night games are better than day games. Well, that's not objective. That's based on what you want, based on your lifestyle. And that's fine. And then the second point would be when people say that there's a bigger home field advantage at night. Maybe there is. That, again, cannot be proven. If anybody wants to do the math on that and wants to go through the games and the point spreads and goes through some type of objective analysis to prove it to me that night games are more favorable for the home team, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying nobody's ever proven this. It's just another one of those theories that is yet to be proven.
Well, I mean, Ohio State beat Texas at night, and Ohio State in 2005, didn't they? If I recall, it wasn't that. No, that was a loss. Ohio State has plenty of losses at night and
USC, Virginia Tech,
Oklahoma.
So, I mean,
Oklahoma.
It's a better atmosphere, but doesn't mean you're going to give you a better chance of winning the game. And really, I think the better chance of winning the game should be the priority, rather than I'm more comfortable being loud at night as opposed to during the day. And again, I don't want to keep crapping on fans that aren't loud when they could be if they wanted to be, but I think this is a problem that could solve itself if people are just louder at noon rather than louder right now complaining about it. If save the complaints for the refs at 12 p.m. and a kickoff, and then get after the people that are really being terrible and hurtful to you. It's the refs.